Stock Market Weekly Chart Review for August 8th through August 12th. We are going to be looking at the S&P 500 as an indicator of the overall stock market. Since the S&P 500 is made up of 500 stocks, it gives us an idea of what the overall stock market is doing, and whatever the S&P 500 does, it has a tendency to affect individual stocks. As a rising tide raises all ships, a lowering tide lowers all ships. That's a general rule of thumb you can use with the S&P 500. In order to do this a little better, we're looking at the makeup of the S&P 500 through this Fidelity website. So the portfolio composition of the S&P 500. It's heavily weighted with these technology stocks, and we can see broken down into sectors the top 4 sectors providing the greatest weight: information technology, healthcare, consumer discretionary, and financials. So I found an ETF that correlates with each of these. Incidentally, you can use the same strategy with any particular stock sector that you might be interested in. So let's say that you want to trade something in the healthcare sector, one particular stock. Well, you can look at healthcare ETFs to have an idea of what your particular stock is going to do if you want to go a little bit deeper into that. Now, for the last couple weeks, I have been thinking that the S&P 500 is going to be getting up here to test this 200-day moving average. 50-day moving average. This is a 50-day moving average. This is a 200-day moving average. This entire thing is a 2-year chart, and each candlestick, these red or green things, indicate 1 week of trading. This red and green down here indicates volume for that particular week. So you see this week we're on a little bit lighter volume than the 2 previous weeks. But we see that this candle is getting really close to this. So this is where we first started this stock market weekly chart review. We started here. This was last week's candle. And this week we're getting even closer to that 50-day moving average. Now this is a very bullish sign here when we see that the candle opened here. It traded as low as here, but look at it, pushed all the way up here and traded on top. It doesn't even look like there was any wick on top of this, just tail. And when we look at the rest of these different ETFs, these 4 ETFs that comprise the majority of the S&P 500, we'll have an idea of if the S&P 500 is going to keep moving up, which I think it is, or if it's going to go sideways or move down. Let's take a look. First, we'll look at the XLK technology ETF, since the technology ETF or technology sector is making up almost 28% of the S&P 500. Similar, right? The thing that's different about this candle is the body wasn't as long or as wide. Maybe the tail is a little bit longer. We see a little bit drop off on volume, but we have the technology ETF looking very similar to the S&P 500, just a little bit below that 50-day moving average. We see our healthcare ETF, which healthcare is making up a little bit less than 15% of the S&P 500. Last week we had this doji candle, but this week it looks fairly decisive of bullishness. I can see maybe, ooh, let's get out of that. I can see maybe just a little hint of, a wick there. Barely. It's like there's more tail than wick for sure, but it looks like just a little tiny bit. So this is one thing that we could do to verify that. Okay, it closed at 133.62. The high of the day was 133.69. So yes, we have a little tiny bit, but overall that is very bullish. And how about our consumer discretionary, which is about 11.5%. Same thing, consumer discretionary. Well, really low volume, but look at that moving up. Looks like the high was 169.96. Yep, just a tad bit. Pulled back just a tad bit. Kind of getting stuck here in this congestion area. But that's looking bullish. The financials. Financial stocks make up a little less than 11% of the S&P 500. And the financials, wow, look at that. Super bullish. Finally, we have one of these stocks that had more volume in it this week than the two previous weeks. Almost the same as 3 weeks ago. Or is that 2 weeks ago? I don't know. But 1, 2, 3 weeks ago. But it looks like just a bit more volume here. You know, so looking at all three of these, very bullish for the financials. Bullish for consumer discretionary. Bullish for healthcare. Closed above the 50-day moving average. Bullish for technology. And voila, S&P 500 is looking bullish. I think that this week we might at minimum touch this 50-day moving average. We'll see. Maybe it'll close above it, but it'll be really interesting to see if it's going to move up to the 50-day moving average. Is it going to move up and hit it as resistance and come back down? Or is it going to pass through it with some explosive force? And when we look to the left of the S&P 500, right, where is the congestion? Now there is this area here, which is at 430. We can see in the past 430 things congested there. You can see kind of right in there. You can see right here a little bit of congestion. Maybe a tiny bit here, but most recently last September, maybe over here. But it seems like, I guess most recently is going to be right in this area, 410. It looks like we're potentially past that 410. If you want to see the video from the week prior, then I'll leave a link to that in the description of this video. Also, I'd like to invite you to check out ihavesuccess.com. Right now there's 4 different downloads that you could get for free. The most recent one is cash secured put option put stock selection guide. 3 stocks I personally sell cash secured put options on, and why. They're not the only 3, but they're 3 that I've been doing a long time. A stock options Greeks cheat sheet, and 3 underused tactics to transform your financial results. Just enter your information in there, and when I come out with anything new, you'll get it for free put in your email box. You guys have a fantastic night. Hope to see you soon. Aloha.